thank you so much for joining us. We are delighted to be hosting this webinar today on how to get teaching practice and I guess virtual training techniques as well. So I guess you're wondering probably why we decided to hold this webinar, and a lot of our students, our teachers are getting in touch with us. They are getting ready for January 2022. Can you even imagine that we're literally saying that we're looking for January already? Where has 2021 gone? But as you may know, that the two main recruiting times for any teaching industry, whether it be TEFL or whether it be just normal teaching positions like teaching to native English speakers, it always is the hiring period would be September and in January. So obviously with TEFL being a global industry that you could be teaching all around the world, a lot of people may start in a job in September and then they might end up staying there for a couple of months and then deciding, okay, maybe this country isn't for me, or they may go home at Christmas, which was something that when I was teaching in Abu Dhabi, that kind of happened every now and again, that people might go home for Christmas and say, oh look, felt a bit homesick, I'm not going to go back in January. So I suppose that's where schools kind of find the biggest hiring times are September and in January as well. So I guess we've all had the summer months there where we've gone back to some bit of normality. We can see borders opening up in other countries, and I guess the schools here in Ireland are gone back, resumed as normal. I know Michelle is a teacher herself, so she's gone back to school as well. So there's lots of different countries that are also in the same position. So I suppose we've had the madness of the summer. September has come, it's here, and I suppose everyone is getting ready for the January 2022 start date. And one of the first things that I can promise you, if you are looking for a TEFL position, that the employers are going to be looking for teaching practice and experience. So it is the first question that they're going to ask you in an interview, or when they have your CV in front of them, that's what they're going to look at. And I suppose it really is, like, I know we're shouting it from the rooftops, but I suppose by getting your teaching practice done now, and by having that box ticked, and by having that certificate in your hand, you have really, really started the process. Because as soon as that happens, then you're going to start writing your CV, getting that up to date. So adding this qualification onto your CV. You're going to be going through, obviously, looking for jobs. You're going to have interview preparation. You'll probably maybe need to do a mini demo lesson when applying for TEFL positions. So you're going to have to like write out a mini lesson plan. You're going to be applying for those jobs. And then I suppose TEFL jobs, in comparison to maybe going for a job in your local school, is obviously going to take a long process because it is on a global scale. So I suppose depending on where you're traveling, you may also have to look at visa preparation if it's outside of Europe, depending on where you're a passport holder from. So all of these things are going to take time. So I suppose if you are looking towards going in the likes of January or even September next year or the summer next year, we really are encouraging people to, if you do not have teaching practice already, to get this done now, because it's something that can be done across the weekend. And I know Michelle will be talking about what actually happens during that weekend, and it's done. You have it done, you have the confidence, you have the certificate, and you are buzzed up and you're ready to apply for these positions. So I suppose, has anyone here even participated in the any of the 10-hour day courses with Michelle before? Or we also do have another course tutor as well, Kate. So if you have, maybe just write it in the box if you have actually attended it, and how it went and things like that, because I suppose it might give other people an idea of what it's like. And I know Michelle is going to be going through it anyway, but it's nice to know that we do have some past pupils here as well with us. So that would be fantastic. If you have, just put a message into the chat box. And as we're going through all of these, if a question comes to mind, we have a question and answer session at the end. But if anything does pop up, put it into the chat box and we'll be sure to get back to you then when it does. So I suppose, as I said, that the 10-hour day course is across the 2 days. We used to actually hold this teaching practice session in hotels across Ireland. So pre-COVID, when things were a bit simpler, we actually used to do these sessions across 1 day. So it was a jam-packed day, Michelle. I'm sure you could say that yourself, that it was all kind of, it was intense. No doubt we got it all done and everything like that. But we do find now the fact that we have gone virtual and that we can do it across 2 days, it really does help our students, because at the end of day one, you will be given some homework, some things to think about. There'll be lesson planning and stuff that will be done on day 2. So I suppose it really gets you thinking about, okay, how am I going to approach this? Or, you know, looking up and doing a bit more research and a bit more homework on the teaching practice. So it really lets you take time to process it and to digest it all of the information that's gone on, instead of it all being, I guess, a bit too intense. So these were the students. I know now that I've a screen behind me, so I hope you can kind of see it. These were the, oh, probably not really, I know, sorry, with the way my green screen is going. It's kind of hard to see them anyway, but basically we have these student manuals, and everyone still receives that in a PDF version, and you will always have that then. So it's something that you will be going through on the day, but it's something that you'll always have to refer back to. So that's a fabulous thing in itself, as well, to always have. And I guess another really good thing about these 10-hour virtual day course sessions is that at the end we always do have, sorry, there's a few more people coming in, so my screen is going a bit mad, but at the end of these sessions, when you have completed and when you have done your teaching practice and when you have got all your feedback from your tutor, there's also like a small session on recruitment afterwards. So I suppose it is all about, I suppose it's an added bonus basically, where it's like it's nearly a one-to-one session. I know obviously everyone else is on with you, but I suppose if you had any questions about covering your CVs, cover letters, where you can find work online and abroad, our tutors will be able to go through that with you. So it's an extra added bonus about, I guess, recruitment afterwards, which is another amazing thing. And then if you do need any help with further assistance, we have a recruitment team here who are up the walls at the moment, would you believe, because of this hiring period. So they will be able to go through any positions that you are looking at, or if there's anything specifically on our website, let it be an internship or have it be one of our jobs or featured jobs, or whether it's just one of the recommendations that we have given as a resource to you, that they'll be able to go through that with you. So it's brilliant that you can actually have this recruitment opportunity, like a one-to-one session with members of our recruitment team. So I guess I don't see, was there any, oh there is in the chat, so that's fine. So I see how, oh brilliant, we have a good few people who have completed. So Emma, Melissa did the course with Michelle, so that's fabulous. Cynthia completed it with Kate, Eugene completed it with Kate. Oh, it's amazing. That's brilliant. So it's fantastic that we do have some of our past students that have joined us today, which is brilliant. So you'll probably know a lot of what we are talking about as well. So that's great. And if has anyone got any teaching practice in general, so not necessarily our 10-hour virtual training, so but has anyone gone volunteering in a school, in a local resource centre, maybe done teaching practice as part of a placement? It doesn't necessarily have to be obviously TEFL teaching practice, but if you had any teaching practice in general, maybe let us know so we can go through it. So you're working in a Helen Doran school for English in Poland. Fabulous. That's brilliant, Rebecca. It's lovely to hear that that you are. And Cynthia, you're a primary school teacher. Fabulous, and found it very helpful for teaching English online. Yeah, and I suppose for anyone who was in the primary school or the secondary school sector when everything hit last March and it did move to all online, it was, I suppose, that a massive transitional period for all of the teachers that maybe never even heard the word Zoom before, or heard about Skype meetings, or what is it, Google Teams, isn't it? And or Microsoft Teams and Google Meet as well. There's so many different platforms. So I suppose it was like all these new buzzwords that were going around for a while. So I do think the teachers were landed in it as well. So that's brilliant that I suppose we've all adapted to it. And I suppose that's how lucky we are being able to do the virtual training practice now as well, because you could literally be sitting from anywhere in the world, as long as you log on for those couple of hours and that you participate and that you are assessed on your teaching practice, you will have that qualification and you'll be going home with that certificate, and you'll be able to add that onto your CV. So that is brilliant. And I can see that there's loads of experience that people have, whether it be volunteering or working as a speech and language therapist, fantastic, working as a Montessori teacher in SNA, so that's brilliant as well. These are all, as you already know, absolutely amazing additions to add onto your CV. I guess my first experience, I'll just tell you a little bit about myself first, and then I guess Michelle is going to go through everything about the virtual teaching practice and give herself a little intro on herself as well afterwards. So I suppose for myself, teaching practice was actually part of my degree. So I was very lucky that I was able to teach in a school. Now it was obviously here in Ireland, so it wasn't TEFL teaching or anything like that. So I did have placements throughout every year of college, but the longest one was a 6-month placement that I had in one of the primary schools. And I suppose that really gave me unbelievable insight as to what it was like to be a teacher, to have your own classroom. I guess even all the organization skills that go with it, time management, things like that, that obviously you've practiced in college, but I think until you're thrown in the deep end and standing at the top of the classroom in front of 30 students, you don't really know what it's like until you're there. So it really is a great eye-opener. I also then was volunteering for a 4-month placement in Zambia. I went with 2 of my friends. We were teaching in an orphanage for a couple of months there, and that was also a big eye-opener, I suppose, as to how you can teach without many materials. So I suppose when I went from the primary school setting, we had all workbooks, everyone had their copies, we'd whiteboards, things like that. And then when we were volunteering in Zambia, we didn't have any of that. So I suppose it went back to basics and how you can teach with chalk, doing maths. We used to do our maths lessons out on like a stone pavement, and everyone used to write in chalk and things like that. So it really just gave a different experience, I suppose, on how you can adapt teaching to anywhere in the world. And then I was also teaching in Abu Dhabi. Now, by having, I guess, additional qualifications on your CV in countries like the Middle East and in the UAE, it will always get you a higher salary. So I suppose this is something that I do always like to tell people about, because I suppose my friend and I went over, we both had the exact same undergrad. We both were the same class the whole way up. And then I had done some other courses. So I had done my level 5 government regulated course in TEFL. I had also completed, I have a postgraduate in play therapy, and just other additional courses that I had done throughout the year as well. I'd done like sign language course, things like that, and it all helped on my salary. So like my salary was a lot higher than my friends, and even though they ask you to process your undergrad, and that's the one that you have to get legalized and everything like that, and that's what you're hired on, it is all of these extra elements onto your CV that you have that will get you that higher salary. So I know I spoke about it earlier about by getting this certificate, by having this teaching practice, and by adding that onto your CV, it is one of the first things that the employers are going to look at, that, okay, you have some sort of experience. And as well, I know people might say, okay, from 10-hour virtual day course certificate will, like, how's that going to, you know, give me all the experience I need to walk into a classroom or to teach English online? But it's the start, it's the starting position, and it'll give you that confidence when you do maybe want to volunteer at a resource centre, or that you do have a demo lesson online when you're asked for it, that you have all of these skills already, that you're not freaking out the day before when they send you a message to say you need to create a 15-minute demo lesson on how to teach English, you know. So I suppose it's just having all of these skills, being prepared and having the confidence going into this interview, and I suppose going from there. So I'm going to stop talking because I have gone on and on and on there for a while, and I guess I'm very passionate about teaching, as you probably can tell, and I could talk all day about it, but we do have Michelle joining us today. So Michelle has been working with us for the last 3 years, nearly 4 years now at this stage, Michelle, and she used to travel the country doing the TEFL courses. So she used to travel all around to Cork, Galway, Dublin, Limerick, all of these places, all the counties, and load up the car with all the course manuals and making sure everyone was set up with their teas and coffees and stuff like that in the room. So it used to be great crack, but now she's been sent to the virtual world, so behind the screen. So I will let Michelle go through her introduction and tell her a bit about what she does with TEFL Institute. So thanks very much, Michelle.
Thank you so much, everybody. So I'm just going to share my screen now, guys. I've made a PowerPoint for you, telling you a little bit about myself and, of course, about the 10-hour virtual TEFL course with teaching practice. So my name is Michelle Benson, and I'm from Limerick in the south of Ireland, in case we've any international people here. And I've been teaching TEFL in the classroom for 25 years and online since March last year. When I went to university, I did a BA in English and psychology. And then I did a postgraduate diploma in education, specializing in English. And finally, I did a master's in teaching English to speakers of other languages. The very moment I graduated, I went abroad. So the first place I went was Botswana in Africa, where I was teaching children English. They were about age 13 to 16, and it was in a school, and I was the only white teacher in the school. That was a really amazing experience, and I felt really, really welcome. So I spent 3 years there. And then following that, I went teaching English in Tel Aviv in Israel. There I was teaching teenagers English, and they were from all different religious backgrounds, a multi-denominational school. We had Christians, Muslims, and Jewish children studying together, and it was a really amazing experience as well. Following that, in 2003, I decided to come back to Ireland, and I've been teaching with the Limerick Clare Education and Training Board, which is the further education sector of Ireland, since 2003. And my students are all migrant workers, asylum seekers, and refugees who have all moved to Ireland. Over those years, I've taught many levels, from beginners right up to advanced. And I've also been a TEFL teacher trainer for over 20 years. I'm really, really passionate about TEFL, just like Katie. And in my free time, I love to travel and go to music festivals. So that's a little bit about myself. So what I want to talk about now are the benefits of doing the teaching practice. Okay, so let's have a look. So there are not many places to get teaching practice online. And a lot of employers, even online employers, are looking for previous teaching experience as the online market is getting more and more competitive. It can be hard to get practical teaching experience during the current pandemic. So this practical TEFL course done via Zoom is the perfect opportunity for you to gain teaching experience without even leaving your house. Of course, the teaching practice will look great on your CV as well. It's really important to have done teaching practice before heading into an actual bricks and mortar classroom or even an online classroom, because TEFL is so competitive that teaching practice will help you to stand out. So what will you be doing over the 2 days? Well, first of all, it's not a lecture. The course is interactive from the start. You will get a chance to be both the teacher and the student over the 2 days. On the first day, you will learn the methodologies for lesson planning and teaching English. Day 2, you will come back and team teach a lesson with a partner, putting all day 1's methodologies into practice. At the end of your lesson, you will get a chance to reflect on your own lesson. You will get peer-to-peer feedback from the other people on the course, as well as individualized feedback from the trainer. So let's have a look at the modules we will cover on the first day. So the first module is an icebreaker. It's very important as a teacher to relax your students because they're going to be together throughout the course. So I'll show you some fun ways that you can break the ice in a real classroom and online. The second module is a needs analysis and levels. So it shows you what to do when you get your first student. Figure out what kind of help they need in English. Do they need help with listening, speaking, reading, or writing? What do they need to be able to do in English? And we also show you how to figure out what level of English your student is actually at, using the CEFR, which is the Common European Framework of Reference for Languages. Module 3 is about classroom management. Katie mentioned earlier about time management. And also, if you're a teacher, you need to have some rules and regulations in your classroom. So we show you how to make a class contract, so students know what behavior is expected of them, whether they are in an actual classroom in a school or an online classroom. Module 4 shows you how to have effective verbal communication. What we mean by that is that you're not speaking at a level that's way above the heads of your students, that you're able to take something complicated and break it down into simple language so that your students understand what you're saying. At that stage, we take a 5-minute break. There is a 5-minute break from screen time every hour. If anyone needs to take a break, that's fine. When we come back, then we do module 5. Module 5 is how to actually write a lesson plan, how to plan a lesson. Every lesson has a start, a middle, and an end. So we will show you how to plan your lesson using the PPP method. The first P means presentation. We will show you how to present the grammar at the start of your lesson and how to get this concept across to your students in a clear, fun way. Module 6 is the practice. It's what we do in the middle of our lesson. We put students into pairs and they practice whatever grammar structure that you presented to them at the start of the lesson. And also in Module 6, we show you how to design simple worksheets that students can do to practice the grammar that you taught to them in pairs. Module 7 is the production. This is the final part of your lesson plan, where we show you how to put your students into groups and to give them communication activities where they can practice the grammar structure that was presented to them at the start of the lesson. Following that, we go on to Module 8, which is a foreign language lesson. It's where I teach you a span new language using the PPP method. I do not use any English during this lesson. And the reason we do that is to put you in the shoes of actual beginners. They're just thrown in at the deep end. And by using the PPP method, you will be able to have a conversation after 30 minutes of this foreign language lesson. Also on day 1, we do a grammar awareness module, which takes you through all the grammar tenses in English and shows you tips and tricks of how to figure out the structure. Is something present continuous or past perfect or present simple and so on. And then at the end of day one, you are paired up with one other person in the group, and you and that person are put into a private meeting called breakout rooms. And in the breakout room, you and your teaching partner decide on a topic that you're going to plan a 10-minute lesson around using the PPP method. And for homework, you and your partner go away and plan your part of the lesson. And when you come back the next day, you get a chance to present. Now, Katie, if there's any questions there, does anyone want to have a look there at the chat if there's anything that anyone would like to address at the moment? I can just see people are just writing down some courses they've done before and if they have teaching practice. Okay, that's fine. So what I'm going to do now is show you what we do on the second day. So the second day, we start off by showing you how to teach a reading comprehension. If you ever studied another language, you will remember reading a passage and then answering questions underneath. So we show you a step-by-step approach of how to teach this to your students. Following that, we show you how to actually teach pronunciation. So pronunciation, I can see someone called Chris is scribbling here on our screen, checking out that the pen works. It certainly does. Okay, so how to teach pronunciation is also very important because there's no point teaching your students lots of new words if nobody understands them when they open their mouth. So we show you really great methods for helping your students with any pronunciation problems. Okay. So then on the second day, we put you with a meeting again in with your teaching partner in the breakout rooms. Now, if anyone has a question, they can write it in the chat box. Okay, so on the day two, you have a meeting again with your teaching partner for about 30 minutes. And then you come out and in front of everyone in the group, you team teach your 10-minute lesson. You will observe and participate in all other trainee teachers' lessons. So therefore, while you are teaching, all the other people in the group are your students. And while the next person is teaching, you will be one of their students. You will receive personalized feedback on your lesson from the other people in the course and also from myself. The last 3 modules of day 2 are a look at international English exams that students might ask you to prepare them for, getting work in TEFL, and getting work in teaching English online. Okay, so let's look at how the actual teaching practice works. Okay, I'm just clearing the drawings there. Fine. So this is how it works. You are split into pairs and you are set an assignment of coming up with a 10-minute lesson to teach to the other people on the course as if they were your students. You are given the opportunity to choose your own topic and given a sample lesson plan to follow. You present the topic to the others as though they were your class. You get them to practice the concept you were teaching in pairs, and then you come up with a group activity for the whole class to practice the concept that you were teaching together. So therefore, you are preparing a start, middle, and end of a lesson using the PPP method. It's really useful to get the feedback at the end of your teaching practice class, which shows you what you could change and improve on for an actual classroom, as well as pointing out what you've done well. Okay, so what's included in the package when you sign up for the 10-hour virtual training course? As Katie was showing you, you will get a student manual, which is a PDF of all the modules. So there's no need to take notes so that you can focus on being interactive throughout the course. Your certificate is also available and can be downloaded as soon as the course is finished. And finally, you will receive feedback emailed to you at the end of the course from your tutor. The whole idea of doing the teaching practice is to make you more confident in the classroom, either online or in a real classroom. You will leave the course feeling so much more confident in your ability to enter the classroom and teach a group of students. And as many of you have no previous teaching experience, the course will provide you with a great opportunity to learn some teaching techniques and games to use in the classroom. or online from a tutor who actually uses them regularly. And the teaching practice component will really give you an idea of what it would be like putting a lesson plan together and teaching a class. And it is really interesting to see everyone else's ideas and concepts too. So you learn so much from watching each other. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to hand you back to Katie. And of course, if anyone has any questions, please pop them in the chat box.
Thanks very much, Michelle. So I know that one or two of you had said that you had already completed the 10-hour virtual day course. So that's fantastic. So you obviously do have a good bit of insight as to what it's all about, and I suppose what to go through. And I suppose that's what a lot of people might be a bit anxious about when they're thinking about logging onto a course when it's virtually. I suppose it's all, how interactive will it be? How much do I need to participate in? Is there much reading? And things like that. Is there homework, which we went through, and just things like that, like what do I actually have to do? So I know obviously there is a lot of that information on the website, on our page for the 10-hour virtual day course, but we're always here at the other end of the phone as well if you do want to get a bit more of an insight. The reason why we are holding this webinar obviously is to prepare for January 2022, and as I said, the recruitment team is inundated at the moment with people sending in applications for internships, for job applications, so on and so forth. So I suppose when we went back and looked at how many dates we do have available for the virtual training course between now and January 2022, we have 12 dates in total. Now that doesn't necessarily mean that there's room on every single one of them, because it is obviously a limited space course. So there's 12 people maximum would be on the virtual training course, and this is so that as Michelle can go through everything that she said on day 1 and day 2, keep it as interactive as possible. So if people do have any questions throughout, or if they're stuck on something, or if the lesson planning is a bit, you know, it will be new to a lot of people, that you can have that time to go into the breakout rooms, to have that chat and to say, okay, look, I'm struggling with this, where do I go? And that's what Michelle is there for as well. So I suppose that's why we keep them small, and we keep the group size small, so that you can come back and present your lesson planning, your lesson plan to the class as if they are your classroom already, and then you will get feedback from Michelle then afterwards as well. So I suppose it's the reasons why the classes are that small is to leave time for all of this. So I suppose another thing about the dates is that we only have 12, I suppose, between now and January. It might seem a lot, but it isn't really, I suppose, when they fill up, when there's only 12 people allowed on each course, and we do already have quite a lot of bookings for them already that people have booked in advance as well. A lot of you might know, if you enroll onto our 310-hour course, that you can actually pick flexible dates as well. So you may have enrolled onto the 10-hour, but you haven't picked a specific date yet. So we would encourage anyone who is looking to travel over the next couple of months, or in January, or looking to go towards summer, to sign up for those dates and to get that covered and have that sorted. So our times vary. We have a Wednesday and Thursday session, which are in the evenings, and then we also have a choice depending on the weekend whether we would do a 9:30 in the morning slot, or else a 5:30 in the evening slot on different days on a Saturday and Sunday. So I suppose it's to try to facilitate for everyone, I guess, people who are working at the weekends, people who are working maybe who are in schools, who are working maybe a 9-to-5 job, who maybe have kids at home that they need to go to bed or be minded. So I suppose there's loads of different, I suppose there's 3 options that you can choose from to work and to fit your schedule. So that is, there's all the details are on our 10-hour virtual day course page as well. And if you do have any questions about the course in particular, a member of our team could give you a call. You can always send an email in later, and they'll be able to go through it with you and the different steps, I suppose. In saying that, one of the girls has just wrote to me to say that there's actually only 10 spots available for the rest of September. So that just shows that people are booking on, getting their qualification and getting all signed up. We will have, as a thank you for everyone that has attended today on a Thursday evening, an e-voucher sent to you after this webinar, which will be, it's just a follow-up email just to thank you for joining, I guess, today, and there will be an e-voucher in that. So there will be an exclusive discount for everyone who has listened to Michelle and I today. And as always, if you do want to book in a call with any of our advisors for tomorrow even, or for next week, to see if you even need teaching practice, then you can book in from tomorrow, or I'll send an email to hello@tefl.ie with any of your questions. I know there was a question there a while ago about someone asking, I suppose, even if they are maybe a primary school teacher, or why should they, do they still need to do this course? It's something that comes up all the time here, is that, as you know yourself, I've studied myself in the same sector, that when you are training to become a primary school teacher, you are training to teach English to native English speakers. So I suppose having a TEFL qualification is teaching English as a foreign language. So that obviously, that having that qualification will help you to teach these students that come into your classroom, whether it be here in Ireland or whether it be abroad, that are non-native English speakers. So I suppose it'll go through everything, the techniques, what to use in the classroom, I suppose the props, even the names, everything like that. Your TEFL course will cover that as well. So then having this 10-hour virtual teaching practice, you will go through even a foreign lesson, things like that, that it is, believe me, I've done it. I've taught in primary school classrooms here in Ireland, and when I walked into the first day in Abu Dhabi, now I did have kindergarten students as well, so 35-year-olds who have never ever even heard, I'd say, a word of English before, sitting in front of me, having to nearly barricade myself up to the door so that they wouldn't break out or run away. They had always had Arabic as their first language, so even if they had nannies looking after them, their family, their parents, going into the shops, it was always Arabic. And now they had their first day of kindergarten. There's no such thing as preschool or creche or anything over there. It's just straight into KG, straight into the system. And then I suppose, then there's me speaking English. Hadn't a clue of Arabic. I had to learn very quickly a couple of words. And that is why, if I didn't have the TEFL training, then I wouldn't, well, I suppose from my previous experience, I would have had some ideas, but it really gave me that foundation of, okay, where to start, where do I go from here, how to get onto their level, like literally like learning from the very beginning for all of these children, who literally was the first person to speak English was Miss Katie to them. And you know, every single day then since then, you had to keep going with English. Like there was no Arabic. My Arabic words were lessened and lessened throughout the every day, because I was like, no, this is, they're coming in here now, we have to be constantly speaking English for them to learn, and they did, which was great. So I suppose, I hope that has answered one or two questions about primary school teachers. And as we said, if you wanted to book in a call with one of our course advisors, we can go through that with you. There was just a few questions gone in there now that I think I have missed.
I have taken note of a few of the questions, if you want me to read them out, perhaps, yeah. Katie?
Yeah.
Yes, so somebody said, is there help with employment and other supports afterwards after doing this course?
Yeah, so I guess one of the beautiful things, I guess, about being part of our student alumni is that once you're part of the TEFL Institute student alumni, you're with us from start to finish, and we follow on with your journey afterwards. So we actually have, obviously you'd be enrolled and you'd be on our system and everything like that, but we do have Facebook groups. We do for our alumni, so not just our Facebook page at TEFL.ie, follow us if you don't, and our Instagram page, but we also have an actual separate alumni group. So we would post jobs that come up. If say our partners over in Italy, say we have a start date happening next week, and if some of the teachers couldn't go due to unforeseen circumstances or anything like that, we would put it straight to our alumni group first and say, okay guys, we know it's last minute, but these are the options available to you before we would put them live on our website, and before we start, you know, sending newsletters and things like that to try get other people who aren't our students, I suppose, on board. So you will be always part of that student alumni. We have a recruitment team, which we are very lucky to have, that you can book in one-to-one sessions with. If you like haven't a clue where you want to go, that is absolutely no problem. We have like job hunters guides, we have a CV service, we have so many things that we can help, because we want to be part of your journey throughout, and we take great pride in that. We stalk sometimes some of our students who've gone abroad. I shouldn't really be saying that too loud, but I think they know, because we be commenting on it and sending love hearts and likes and shares of like seeing them travel the world, and it gives every single member of staff here at the TEFL Institute that fire in their belly feeling when they see some of the teachers that they know had trained with the TEFL Institute. They've done their course with us, they've done their virtual course with us, they've done their teaching practice, and now they're going out into the real world and they're traveling the world, and they have this fabulous qualification. So I suppose we're with you from start to finish, and I suppose there's lots of, I suppose, uncertainty at the moment with visas, with quarantines, with everything to do with COVID. It has really made things very complicated for travel, but it's still happening. So that's why our recruitment team are fantastic. They are in touch every single day with our teams abroad. So obviously our partners abroad, they keep updates constantly. So you know yourselves, like borders could close, stuff like that. Visa changes could be different now, like mandatory to get stuff legalized, not legalized. So I suppose they're amazing for any advice on where to go from there. So I would highly recommend, if you are planning on traveling, to book in a session with them.
Okay, we have another question. What are the best teaching platforms to teach online?
So we actually have, now I don't know, do a lot of you know, but a lot of things changed in China recently with all of the online programs. So I'm not going to get into that now, because that was actually covered on one of our webinars previously that you could check on YouTube, and they go through it even with our partners over in China and stuff like that. So there was lots of changes recently with online teaching providers in China. So we do actually have a page on our website that goes through all of the different online companies and our recommendations. Now, we're not necessarily affiliated with these companies, but these are who our students have worked with before. So I'll get the link there now in a second, and you can go onto that page and you can go through all of the different ones. Like, I suppose when it comes to online, there's so many different platforms. There's also so many different Facebook groups. So like, even if you type into Facebook online TEFL teachers or online teaching English teachers, there is so many groups that you can join, which are amazing, because you actually get a great insight from people who've actually taught on those platforms before. So they could say, oh, I had an amazing experience with this crowd, or else, oh, I would stay clear of them, or, you know, I didn't get many hours with this crowd. So I suppose by joining these communities, you're getting a great insight from firsthand, basically, from these teachers. So I will definitely put that in there. Just if you give me 1 second, I'll have to get it up on our page for our online recommendations and things like that. So these are all of the ones that maybe our teachers have worked with before. There's also a video there from Kate, my colleague, who has been teaching English online for ever. Basically, she's taught all around the world. She's taught in Peru, in South America, in Bali, all these amazing places with just her laptop. So she's definitely someone that, if you were looking to really go down the route of teaching English online, to maybe book in a consultation with her, because she's our teaching online guru.
Great. We have a question. Would a non-native speaker of English have a better position after doing our 10-hour TEFL course?
I would most definitely say so. Like, I don't know, do you, I'd say you definitely do agree, Michelle, and you've definitely worked with a lot of
Yes.
non-native English speakers in the past. But I suppose you know yourself, like, even when I was going through this course, like, and after I've done my 4-year degree, I did a postgraduate for 2 years. There was still so much I learned by doing this TEFL course about English. Like, we are brought up with so many bad habits in school that aren't really ever corrected as much unless it's written, but when it's verbal, it's never really corrected, Michelle. I think you'd agree with me, well, in the past. So I suppose from a non-native perspective, when you're coming in, it's your first time learning all of this, and you are learning this correctly, and you are learning it, you know, right there, and you won't get any of these bad habits, and you won't have all of these things that we've had with years and years. But I'm sure, Michelle, you've had that in the past as well.
Yeah, I mean, we don't learn the grammar of our own language going to school here in Ireland. You know, we do literature in English, we write essays, but anyone who is here who learned English as their second language has a huge advantage in that you know all the grammar already because you've been through it.
Most definitely. I definitely agree with that anyway. I definitely do think that there's, sometimes I'd be even talking myself and I'd hear myself and I'd be like, correct yourself now, Katie, like, you know. So it is just all these bad habits that we've had over the years. So I would definitely agree with you, Michelle, there.
Yes, and one more question. We have a person here from Milano today.
Wow.
And they would like to know, is there any in-person TEFL courses in Milan? Face-to-face, I guess.
Not that I know of now. I am so jealous of you being in Milan right now. I would do anything to be over there. So I'm not sure. You see, I guess even with the recruitment team that we have here, it would be more like positions, like teaching positions in these countries. We wouldn't necessarily know of other TEFL providers or other businesses that do the in-person training. So I actually wouldn't know about that, but I would always say, like, Google is always a great thing, or the likes of the Facebook groups as well. If you even put into Facebook like TEFL in Milano, I'm sure something would come up, or you would get a better insight in there for that in-person training. But I guess the beauty about our training is it is distance learning, so no matter where you are in the world, as long as you have good internet connection and Wi-Fi and your laptop, you can learn it from wherever, and you can get that qualification, and you can be out and about, and whether you're on the train going to work, whether you're on the bus, you know, you'll be able to get that qualification. So that is the beauty of the distance learning courses as well.
There seems to be no more questions, or we're getting a lot of thank yous in for your kind feedback there, Katie.
Fabulous. Well, that's great. So I guess I'll just leave the chat box open there now, just in case you do. I didn't even realize the time that it's nearly 10 to 6, Michelle. The two of us, the two of us will keep talking all day, and no one will have their dinner at home or anything like that, but sure, what harm. So as I said, the team, we're all online tomorrow from 9 a.m. till 5. We do take a break over the weekend, but we'll be back online from Monday morning. There will be an email sent out after this webinar to thank everyone that has attended, and there will be an e-voucher put in there in case you do want to sign up. I can't encourage you anymore, guys. If you are planning on going teaching, whether it's online or whether it's abroad, from January, from as soon as possible into the summer, get trained up, make sure you have your TEFL qualification, and make sure you have your virtual or any teaching practice. Make sure you just have that on your CV, because there's nothing worse than waiting until January, maybe starting to apply for jobs. Then they write back, have you had any teaching experience in the past, or have you ever created a demo lesson? And you're like, oh my goodness, I need to do this. Then you try to book on, then there's no courses available, and it's all like, you know, a delay, changing your CV, things like that. I just wouldn't put that pressure on me, and I would just say sign up now. As I said, there's 12 actual classes between now and December. So use this opportunity to get on and to get involved. But I would like to thank you all for joining us. It was fun being back doing these webinars. I haven't done one in a while, so, and I'm delighted to have Michelle joining us today. I'm sure if you know Michelle from doing the virtual training course with her, like, she's just fabulous, and we always have great crack when we're together. So, or whether it's online or whether it's through work or voice notes or anything like that. So you'd be very lucky if you're logged on to one of Michelle's training courses, because she's just fantastic. She's a breath of fresh air and always brings fun and enjoyment into any classroom. So you'll thoroughly enjoy it if you do sign up with Michelle.
Have plenty coffee beforehand, guys.
Yeah. You'd all be buzzing after it.
Absolutely.
So we'll leave it there. Michelle, do you want to leave it there?
I want to thank Katie. You're just a mind of information, and you present it so clearly, and you're so approachable that I'm sure you'll get loads of emails and phone calls coming in with lots of more questions. There's a lot of thank yous coming in. They're so thankful. Lots of gratitude. We're feeling the love, guys.
We sure are. We sure are. And on this Thursday evening, it's lovely. So that's fantastic, guys. Thanks so much again. You're brilliant. Thanks for all the interaction, I guess, as well. It's been great to have that bouncing off all the questions and everything. So hopefully we'll see you at the next webinar as well. So yeah, have a lovely evening.
Bye,
thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you.
Bye.